the M24. I'm just saying. Get out there and kill someone with a pan, my guy. All right, so we are headed into the penultimate game. That's second to last. We're going to have some fun on our angle. The time for teams to make a statement is almost through. What statement are you looking to make? If you are a team on the right side currently, Matchroom, you've got 2 games to say something. What are you looking for?
Just take a team fight and win it with some dominance. Don't walk out with just one player up. Show the fact that you can fight some of these teams and the fact that you can make them a little bit of afraid, especially if it's we're seeing some hesitation come into play for a couple of these teams and not wanting to take aggressive pushes into specific areas. And I understand the hesitance on it, given the nature of the lobby and the way it's stacked over towards the left side of the leaderboard. But you got to do something. You got to stop the bleeding. And the only way to stop the bleeding is to make other people bleed in this game. That's the simple premise behind it.
That is fair. The top looks like a sprint. The bottom looks a bit like a 3-legged race as everyone limps about. Cameron, what do you want to see out of those teams on the right side?
I'm going to agree with Matt a fair bit here. And I'm wondering if we're going to see maybe even some, drum roll please, hot drops. Because we really need these teams really need to have some big games. If they're trying to break from the $500 to the $1,000 reward, there's a big gap between 7th and everyone else, and they need multiple big games. And the best way to start yourself off for that is just get 4 points in the very beginning. It's a high risk, but these are teams that need the high reward. And I mean, because what's the alternative? The same thing.
All right, it's time for us to get into game with the casting duo that would be guaranteed to win any 3-legged race we put them in. It is the infectious High Speed and Godpock.
I mean, he's not wrong. We would win a
He's not wrong.
race because we have 4 it's 4 limbs total with 2 of us. Does that make sense?
That's quick math, yeah.
I
didn't know exactly where you were going with that, with the leg thing.
Well, he said 3-legged race, and as a duo, we have 4 legs, right? Like I figure that's just an innate advantage. I'm so sorry.
Head into game.
I'm just not going to talk for the rest of it. I try to make it funny.
That was smooth. When topics puts you on the spot, man, it's difficult to come up with something sometimes.
That, and I really respect the fact that you just let me drown there. Like, I would have done the same.
Oh, dude, I didn't even throw you a...
No, you actually just put your foot on my head and just slowly submerged me in the water.
Just going back to it, I actually, I just want to come back to what Cammy just said. Again, one of those situations I was talking about, Monkey Business setting up for that bridge cam. It might look a little BM, but again, I like teams doing that. I like teams saying, look, guys, we need to go out there and actively look for points. And it's plays like that. And again, even though it didn't really amount to 4, putting 2 on the board is that kind of slow momentum building kind of play style that you need to be playing when your back's against the wall. Again, I don't want to talk about being outside of the realms of qualifying. I mean, anything can happen. It's PUBG, but that's the sort of switch up I like seeing. I want to see more of that coming into this game because there's only one more after this. Like, if you're going to make moves, I want to see teams kind of put themselves in a position to be able to make it in the last game.
Yeah, just go for the plays. I mean, this plane I don't think is going to really lend to anything crazy as far as... actually, we might see some hot drops, but I agree with you, and I also agree with what Cameron said. Like, you have 2 games left, and obviously the payout brackets are stacked in 4, so you have first through 4th and then 4th through 8. If you can get yourself into that next payout bracket, what do you have to lose? You might as well just go for it. So, in that regard, I definitely agree with what Cam was trying to put down. I was picking it up, but are we going to see a milli circle? That's really what I want to know.
I mean, I would hope so now, and then Monkey Business just camp 4 teams,
but it's the opposite. It's fine.
Polar opposite to what we want to see. But a lot of space in here, right? There's obviously it's going to be difficult. There's a lot of teams out to the west here that you got to worry about. If you're going to look to wrap into this, maybe come towards South George, Crates, and cross over by Cube. There's potentially going to be a lot of pressure on that side of the circle because anybody wrapping west, they pretty much have 3 bridges to choose from to get into this circle, right? So it's going to force those teams into that bottleneck. So you're more than likely going to cross a team in rotation there. Got to keep an eye out for that because, like I said, it's 5 teams down to arguably the west side here. Elpig's actually making a break for the west coast. They're going to take a vehicle, hopefully just send it north here, just give themselves as much space as possible to get looted up. And ultimately, that's going to give them best access to Circle 1.
Well, the other thing about LPix as well is the fact that because of the furthest west team as well as the most north team on the west, I mean, technically they could just take that road all the way up through North George. They could even loot there a little bit, and then they have a clear route into the circle because not many teams I feel like would even take that route to cross the George. Plus, with the plane path, I'm sure they knew that no teams really could have stretched there. So that's definitely one of the options. I think it's the safest option for them to take. But as you said, there's multiple bridges. You have Crates Bridge, you have Q Bridge, and that's where things kind of get dicey. So speaking of dicey, Lamborghini is going to go down to Virtue already.
Yeah.
It just continues to be a really just not great series for these guys.
No, but let's look back at it. I mean, Virtue, a team, they're in 10th right now, and you could argue, I mean, this is game 5. There's obviously points to accumulate from this game and the next game, but there are a lot of teams that can still kind of make it. And getting an early kill right now, that for a team like Virtue, like that's huge because it might not seem like much, but that's literally a cushion for later on. It's also, kind of information gathered from a team that's nearby. You know that Orion now aren't going to try anything too sketchy in terms of ballsy rotations.
Right.
And it gives you a little bit of breathing space to set up. I can already see Virtue have sent Batty way off north side of the river. He's going to look down towards Crossroads, and if he's quick about it, he's actually going to get himself all the way there. So keep an eye on that towards the mid game. Over here, we do have Elusive making their way north away from Lipovka. Cozy have come all the way out of Yasnaya, and Ascendant's obviously coming down from Stalby Hill is going to give them a lot of space, but we'll have to wait and see which direction they opt to take.
Well, it's also possible they actually just set up right next to each other, which kind of seems like what's happening. And just going back to your point about that one kill, I mean, if you look at San Diego Rarity 8th to 11th place, that's only a 6-point difference between all those placements. So that one kill absolutely matters, and oftentimes it's the deciding factor. But see that Ascendance is actually set up now in this little mini compound just to the east of the warehouse that we have seen ATC actually do a lot of really great work in PCS. And I mean, these are the most popular positions. You have this compound, you have that warehouse, you have the junkyard or Alamo, whatever you want to call it. You have the shelf just above the gas station. I mean, these are where these teams like to play. This is why people like to set up, because these are the positions that ultimately are going to give you the best chance to be the next circle or just have a good rotation.
And look at this, Orion, obviously down to 3 men. You can see they pulled up Yasnaya gas station, trying to get some info across. Actually, meanwhile, Tetra going to get an opening onto Ascendance here as they pull up on the warehouse. Tetra's going to fall immediately, though. It looks like Reno is just going to hop into Dacia and get away from there. So Ascendance, the 4-man crash, Circle 1, going to get themselves control. They did come down from Stauber, so I don't doubt that they were maybe scouting this out. But again, Cozy still kind of split from the looting phase. Sorry, it's kind of left them a little bit exposed to this situation. To be honest with you, this is the problem, really. If that Circle 1 pops on you and you're kind of split in your looting setup, it's very likely a team's going to be pulling up as 4 early rotating, and they're grouped, and they know they're going to be pulling up to a compound that potentially only has 1 or 2 people in it.
Or even just look at the gear that Ascendance is rocking, right? You can tell they rotated early, like level 1 backpack, not many attachments on their guns. And that is the correct play. I'm definitely not calling them out for it, but that's kind of the point you're making, that, if you're split looting in the center of a circle that pops, you're probably going to get a team that, like Ascendance, is just going to pick up the bare essentials, and they're just going to get to the best position on the map. And that's exactly what happened.
And it's a huge spot to take. I mean, how many times do we see these circles end up on that hillside? Like, it was only, day 1 we casted one that ended just west of that warehouse.
Yeah, actually, that's true. That's very true. We've seen that in PCS multiple times as well. So, I mean, this circle does favor that hill. It's no secret. And Ascendance obviously knew that, as they have the best position. Now, Play for Fun is a team that I feel like we really haven't had any time to watch them. I don't know how many times these guys have been up together, at least as a 3 or 4 man. They've obviously kind of been struggling on the bottom side of that leaderboard, but they're still also within shooting distance. As you said, they could easily make it into the next bracket, the pay bracket, and they might even be able to push. With only 2 games left, it's a little unlikely, but in the first day, pretty much every chicken dinner we saw was at least 20 points, so it's possible.
I'm doing that thing I hate doing, where I'm looking at the map.
They're going for it.
But meanwhile, Play for Fun actually going to pull up Ascendance, going to hop straight into the UAS. I love this decision. Get away from here. You don't want to risk too much by staying split at this stage. They're now going to come back and regroup.
Wait.
Actually, is Raven
Wait,
going to find?
Raven from where?
He's from the compound. He's over at the little triple.
I thought I
just
heard
over
a
there.
barrel, and I was like, from what distance? But either way,
nonetheless, I like that though. The fact they know when to pull out. No pun intended. And obviously, not risk too much. And again, that's exactly the same situation. That team is 4, play for fun, and rotating, grouped up. There's no reason to allow half of your team to fall defending in a 2v4 crash. There's absolutely no reason. Give it up. You still got a god compound at the top of the hill.
I agree. There's no reason to stay half in. You know what I'm saying? They had.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, there's 2 and 2. No, I'm agreeing. They should have. I'm just agreeing with you, Pac. I don't know why you're giving me a hard time here. As we look at ELPX.
This was the situation I was talking about. Again, all of these teams have come through that bottleneck.
Well, you were telling me something about the map that you hate to do. Now I'm curious. Right before we saw that little...
Because I saw Liberate, Elpix, and Pros Don't Fake all crossing the Crates Bridge at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody died in the kill feed.
No one even got shot, I think. I think it was just like a mutual crossing. Team Clueless, actually, with a nice little position here. They do have to be careful, though, because I'm pretty sure no cap is coming in close to them. But the... circle shift's going to happen. The area around Stallble that we see Team Clueless at actually is not a bad position to play late, because you pretty much dictate what happens around your side of the circle, and then you can rotate in, especially if you've crippled the team.
No, this is when you kind of see the teams that really know how to edge and kind of hold on to that move with the circle. Yeah, let the circle do the work for you. Push the teams that are outside towards you, but also give yourself a position where you're only really worrying about one direction. You play with your back to the blue, and you just move from compound to ridge to compound, and just progressively rotate that way, as opposed to sending it towards a compound or like Liberator doing, obviously coming into 70, but that's going to be a similar situation for now. Now that they have their backs to the water and potentially the blue, it gives them like half as many things to worry about when you're scouting forwards.
True. And Liberate, actually, one of those teams you're talking about, making it across the bridge, actually got a decent setup here in the north side of Sev, because this is actually probably one of the best areas to rotate out of, just because you have that coast really quick for a fast escape, I should say. There's also decent terrain in front of them, just to the east, if they want to actually play that on foot or use vehicle for it. So I do like where Lib is set up. I really like Team Clueless as well, in the way that they've been a little more active. They did leave the edge, obviously it was pushed out, but look how aggressive Nick is getting.
Yeah, and this is again, I mean, Sharu's looked fantastic this time around in the Challengers Cup, and not to say that he was individually disappointing, but I think Clueless as a whole weren't really firing on all cylinders as we would have expected. I mean, that was one of the rosters I was most hyped to see kind of come back, obviously with the players that are on that. And Nick 1-on-1, he's had great success in some teams in OCE, so it's good to see him step across here and I mean, now kind of look as if they found some form. It's a newly formed team. You can still call them that.
Yeah.
So definitely, shaking off the teething problems and looking much better now. As actually Nick does find a knock in the kill feed.
Yeah, he heard you.
His ears must have been burning.
Well, to be fair, and this is more of a call out to myself, I often talk a lot about Hambino and Sharu, but NHS and Nick are also very competent players, very good players.
Yeah.
And I think once this formula kind of comes together, obviously I think we're kind of seeing that now in Challengers. Once they really start getting that chemistry and that synergy going, I think Team Clueless is actually a big threat. And again, we're starting to see the beginnings of it here.
I mean, it's the age-old recipe, right? Get 2 North American players, stick an EU with them, stick an OCE with them. It's a recipe for success, right?
Easy money. Maybe that was our problem on the Rumblers, why we could never win in the end. Is just we had our 1 EU, right? We
you just didn't have the OCE player, man.
Oh, Nick, as we're talking about him, he's going to take a few shots. He's going to be just fine. And again, Clueless, the one thing that I really like about this team, it seems as they get more comfortable, is they really start to push out of the compound or wherever it is, whatever position they're holding, they really try to get as much information and spread themselves as thin as possible without actually, causing themselves any issues with whatever split they're running. And I really like that. And that is not the shift I was expecting. Dear Lord.
Dude.
I don't think I've seen a lake circle in years.
Dude. I mean, Supremacy now are in like a godlike position.
They were probably like, dude, this sucks.
I think this has to go southeast, right?
It has to, yeah, because that lake is a giant sore in the middle of the map, and I'm pretty sure most of the land ratio at this point is southeast.
Oh my god! I mean, we were talking about
sat
bottlenecks
up
in Circle 1,
but when I
this
saw
now,
that.
dude, because the south wrap is so difficult because you have to come out and go all the way. I can actually, dude, I can see a couple of teams sending it into the blue to try and go across Rozhok Bridge. I mean, keep your eye on the kill feed because we are going to miss something along the lines here. Supremacy in a fantastic position. You can see this is the situation I was talking about. Prozone Snake trying to send it across. Monkey Business actually getting a lot of damage on the way in here. Lister is going to fall. But I think Liberate might opt to come all the way back this way as well. So Monkey Business got to be careful here. They don't want to leave this too long.
Look at the map. This is absolute insanity. Oh my goodness. Please. And just everyone is just scattered, Puck.
Yeah, I mean, KW Killers now trying to make their way towards one of the Rozhok bridges, but San Diego Rarity on the hillside actually coming down on Simply Matt. Two-Mass and Retaliative now pulling up towards him. Goes for a little seat swap here. Subtle, got to be careful. He's actually going to get shut down here. Oh, no, he gets stuck against the UAS. Innate's going to find him at distance. Immediately confirms that one out. Retaliative still moving now, but there are a lot of teams on the move still. This is definitely not the end of this rotation phase.
No, Tomas going down is actually really unfortunate as well, getting stuck. But this is a really nice position that KEKW has taken if they are trying to cause damage on rotations, which it very well seems like they are. And I like the way they've set up in a split. They've covered a lot of ground on that southwest rotate, so that's going to be really rough for them to, or it's going to be really rough for anyone else to rotate past. PDS though, I mean, Prozone Snake are actually just. I'm going to be honest, this is more the same of what we expect from them. They're just sitting on the edge. They're not really getting active. They're not really being proactive. They can't really see much from here, aside from the fact that they just know that they're in the circle. I mean, at the very least, taking that next compound with a flat top would be way better than staying where they're at.
I mean, as well, the credit to them, they're playing off the next shift. Obviously, you got to anticipate that water shift. I mean, I've been looking at it. I'm pretty sure this one has to pull southeast. It's pretty much like a 60-40 split in terms of landmass, but crazier things have happened. This one could go just hard south and try and just cut out Yasnaya Bay. But now we're seeing a couple of teams get crashed on. Cozy actually going to get a team pulling up on them at the junkyard, Alamo. Elusive looking for an entry over here. And this is kind of still pretty far out on the north side. You can see now it does actually pull direct south. It keeps a lot of water in Godspeed.
That's
but
great.
We'll take a look at that in a second. Elusive now pushing on to Cozy.
That is not the shift I thought I was gonna take, but Sneak Attack. This is so rough fighting in this building the way that they are, and Sneak Attack's on fire. Fizzle trying to get something going. They're gonna get a flush, as it's still a crazy fight for just a 2-on-3.
I mean, Ascendant's still lurking over. Doesn't really help. Sneak Attack is going to burn, dude. You can't stick one through that.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's just too much tick damage there. Nitrogen in the bathroom going to heal up. Fizzle now at the front door. You can see. Oh, the door swings open. The flash is going to come out. He actually comes in. He's fully blind. Oh my God. Fizzle getting absolutely shut down. The Nitrogen finds the second one. Destinator will fall. Jay or Day gets picked off at distance.
Insane.
What a fantastic hold from Cozy there, but you got to argue Elusive with the misplay slightly.
Yes.
No trade. Just no trade.
I don't think that's even a slightly. I think those were just big misplays coming out of Elusive, to be completely honest with you. And because of that, they're going to fall. I still can't believe the circle also shifted this way. I mean, this is wild. I mean, PDS also taking a really nice spot. It seems like, as you said, they were playing for the shift, hanging out on the edge. So I'll eat those words, no problem. Well played, PDS. Hey, I'll admit when I'm wrong. I have no problem doing it.
I mean, we'll give him credit. We'll let him have that as
yeah.
Gribbles.
I mean, I'm just used to seeing them on an edge. That's all.
That's fair. Monkey Business, again, another one of the teams. This was a really weird rotation for them. They came all the way back down to Cube Bridge to cross towards Rozhok, and then they drove up to the north side of Rozhok to cross the bridge back to the north side. So now they're coming across towards the gas station bridge. You can see them now trying to pull up, actually get some more pressure onto Virtue.
It's a whole nother team here waiting for them. I mean, that's the problem with this circle.
Oh, Gribbles with a dirty little headshot, but then the vehicle, his own vehicle, going to run him over. That's not what you want to happen mid-team fight. They're going to put some smokes down, maybe try and recover off this. The other Virtue players, all the way down towards the bridge, they got Kick W to worry about. So Baddie definitely going to fall here, and they can potentially get Gribbles back on his feet.
Yeah, I almost feel like Virtue wanted to take this fight, but because of their position and the fact that they are getting third party, there's Kick W, also SDR. They just can't. Because of that, Monkey Business now is suffering as well. 2 members down. It's going to be Kite going down. Gribs is going to get the res here, but I mean, this is just, how do you prepare for the circle? You can't.
Well, obviously the thing is now it can go anywhere, so that river could still be an issue in this next circle. And I mean, if you're Monkey Business, Keck W, and anyone really outside on the west, you're kind of running the risk of playing yourself out of the rest of the game.
Well, the other issue is for the teams here, like Ascendance and Team Clueless, whatever team wins this, if they don't have vehicles to get across the circle, especially if the shift goes towards the west or the southwest, I mean, they're going to be hoofing this on foot through Yas Fields, and that is probably never something that you want to do in a comp game. But this fight is probably going to take a while. Oh, yeah, the classic. 2 teams,
this makes me physically uncomfortable. It's so disgusting to fight here, and it's a full 4v4 as well. Circle bounces hard back to the north, of course it does.
Super fortunate for Ascendance and Clueless, to be honest with you.
I mean, this is good though. Whoever actually wins this, they're going to have really good access to the yellows that are obviously on the edge of Yasnaya Bay. But I mean, this is a situation where you don't want to be the team that makes the first move, because you know the other team's just gonna, it's mutually assured destruction. They're just gonna rat you.
It is, but I think there is a possible chance that Ascendance could potentially just wrap up towards the north and avoid this, but not anymore. Team Clueless came out. They had the chance. I think Clueless coming out is going to kind of spell the end for that. These teams are going to have to fight, as you said, mutually assured destruction. But if they can, whichever team can make it to that north bank, that is huge. That is one of the best positions, because you can wrap the entire circle from there because of all the cover. It looks like Beck and Ascendance are actually making that play right now.
I like this. Yeah, peel away from the fight. And like I said, it can get so ugly if they're actually going to get caught in the opening. Nick's actually going to find one. He's still on the second floor of the apartments. Maggi now going to fall to the blue behind the truck. And again, this is the problem. Like I said, if you're the first team to move, the other team's just going to play to hold you. So Team Clueless kind of playing this one out as I expected, but Beck did make it all the way across, but Zraven potentially in a position to play spoiler on Clueless if they don't expect him lurking.
Well, the other big issue is Gravity. Gravity have all their guns trained on the position here of Clueless as well as Ascendance, and I mean, there's nothing but hay-bales for cover. If Ascendance had just left potentially, or if they can get a... No, I was going to say if Draven can get one more knock, that'd be really huge. I was hoping for it, but he's not going to find it. Beck actually decided to stay back, and he's going to try to find angles and maybe punish Team Clueless, but I don't think he's going to get it. I still think his best option is just to wrap to the north.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if they could have got 3 over to that side, it would have been huge for Ascendance.
100%.
Meanwhile, bouncing back over to the east side, you see Pros Don't Snake still have this position on the edge of the hill. Liberate still trying to... Actually, there you go. Did fall. I was going to say, well, the remnants of Liberate still trying to make it in down in front of the flat top. But now this does give a little bit of breathing space over to Pros Don't Snake. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do with it. Because, I mean, they're one of the... Again, them, Supremacy, Monkey Business to an extent. Obviously, with San Diego Rarity still being up, this is one where we could see some leaderboard movement as Gravity going to open up onto Clueless. NHS and Hambino fall there. Some long-range shots landing through.
Yeah, Clueless is getting picked apart. And as we can see, a flaming Hambino who's on fire as he was running. Ascendance is... Beck is still there. Beck has actually opted to stay and try to punish and basically take out the rest of Team Clueless. And I really like that play. I mean, if you can get the kills, it's better than trying to snake a placement. You can at least guarantee yourself some points, but it's looking really rough as Gravity is just trying to farm what's left of those two teams over there to the northeast.
And actually, the problem is, I mean, No Cap have a really, really good spread along the edge outside the gas station.
So blind.
That is the blindest anyone's ever been. Beck just
In PUBG, yeah, possibly. 2 back-to-back. I'm curious to
I was
see.
just go on.
I was just saying, I'm curious to see if Gravity decides to actually wrap out and start taking control of the circle.
This is the situation. Nitrogen's going to
Nitrogen's
pick up
on
both
fire.
there. Yeah, Big Penguin and Morns are going to fall. So Nitrogen's going to put 2 more kill points. He's been so consistent for Cozy Crew, honestly.
He has.
Yes. Actually crazy again after this is I feel like this is the 3rd or 4th game we've seen Nitrogen with 5 kills.
I think he's been popping off this entire event so far. I mean, he's really put it down, as you said, for Cozy Crew. Ooh, it's a 15x. Haven't seen one of those in a long time. Especially not in comp. I love that scope. It's awful, but I love it.
It's the 3rd game we've seen him with 5 kills, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. I probably just made that up, but we'll go with it for the time being.
I'm just gonna blindly believe you. It's the 3rd
I've
game.
seen him fragging out, okay? That's all I was trying to say.
No, I agree. He's been fragging. I want to see what Adit's going to do, though, with this 15x Om, though. And an Om in this circle is so devastating, Puck.
Yeah, and the good thing is, I mean, if you can see No Cap's setup right here, this is pretty much what they've been doing for the last 2 circles. Since they came across there, they took gas station early on, and they spread very, very effectively. They didn't leave anybody kind of out on an island on their own. They're in positions where they can back each other up, and it's a shame really to only see them convert 3 kill points on, but that's due to how many fights we've seen happen outside of the safe zone. Just everybody kind of being forced to take these awkward fights, and ultimately, you know, the blue being the deciding factor.
Yeah, just as you said, most of the teams just didn't get to them for them to convert any kills because of the circle and the shift, and especially with how many teams had set up to kind of punish some of those rotations coming out. I really like the foresight of No Cap, though, to put themselves in this position, and I feel like we've seen them do that a couple times so far in this event. And that shift is dead center on the road. Wow. So there is a really nice lip to play on the north side of this road. The issue is that if you don't have your back cleared, that lip is basically suicide.
It is, yeah, and obviously the buildings that Gravity still occupy can become a factor there. Sociopath actually going to find and land. Deadeye's still lurking. If you keep your eye on the minimap here, Deadeye is still creeping up the hillside here. He maybe just wait for an opening or some kind of opportunity to find something onto the back. And the problem is, if No Cap aren't expecting it, you can potentially get, I mean, 2 or 3 knocks, to be honest. If Femme Fatale actually going to find Dirty's up on the hillside, his supremacy flexing out a little bit now. They're going to try and clean up Pros Don't Snake before No Cap can, but not going to push on to clear up the solo. They're going to prioritize keeping 4 alive on the hill. But again, I like being proactive here. I like the fact they've come out of the compound to take control.
A lot of that, if you look at Why You So Ugly, I mean, he's pretty much put himself in the middle at that lip, and he can see quite a bit. And in fact, he can kind of mess with Gravity a little bit unless they full 4-man push him. So that's not a bad position. But Supremacy, again, they're staying so active. They're trying to push forward, but it's just really Sociopath that's holding them back at this point. It's just one member. I think once they clear this out, they'll really be able to be as proactive as they want to be.
Oh, I did just see Lipsin fall in the kill feed as well. So that puts Gravity down to 2. So it's just D-Rich and Pankill to hold on to the yellows. I'm still calling them yellows. I refuse to call them anything else. And that actually gives No Cap the opportunity to play that ridge you were talking about, Godspeed. And this now is a deadly position for them to hold on to. I think they're going to look to clear their back, as you rightly said. Because ultimately, I mean, if they can play this ridge, they control around 40% of the circle. And obviously, we're down to 4 teams. But that's huge for them.
Yeah, I mean, they basically, I don't want to flat out say it, but they basically win the game. If they can control this and get rid of Gravity, I don't see unless they throw how no cap lose this. On top of the fact that they've just been playing this circle in this game so well, that's why I really just don't think they're going to lose. I mean, look at the control that they've had spreading out early. We saw that Why So Ugly was the first one there. He secured that position. He was able to take out Lipson, as you called out. I mean, no cap is playing this beautifully for a circle that I guarantee you these guys have not seen many times. This is impressive.
No, it isn't. I mean, actually, it makes it really difficult that Gravity do still have a building to play inside. That's the only factor here that maybe could cause some problems for no cap, because, I mean, this fight is all but a wrap on the hillside. As soon as this circle forces them down into line of sight, you know, Supremacy die here. Unless something crazy happens, Supremacy die on the hillside.
I mean, if they can somehow wrap into these yellows, that knock is big.
Okay. They need to fully collapse now. I want to see all 4 of them flex this way. They are. They're pulling out to the east. Yeah, they're going to try and cross the road here.
Beautiful. I mean, this is their only play. Because if they wrap on the other side, they're going to deal with the solo of Prozone Snake, as well as the other 2 members of No Cap just watching the west.
But he's going in, dude.
Yeah. Kiani, let's go. He's actually taking shots at a completely separate team. He probably thinks it's still Gravity, but that's a nice molly. Just low.
Catch him though, and he did get the med kit off. Sociopath gonna die elsewhere, so down to 3 teams now. 4v4v2. Gravity just left as a duo versus 2 full teams, but Enlan and Plume have actually crossed to the south side of the road. They're trying to use the elevation to maybe get some downhill angles onto Supremacy. This is a fantastic setup from No Cap here.
Yeah, the way No Cap is playing is just so damn impressive. Where have they been this entire tournament?
I mean, this is a big game for them here. They can build a little bit of momentum going into the final game. If they can put... I mean, if they get all 6 of these points here and then the win, it's going to be a huge impact on the leaderboard for them.
I mean,
it's on the star.
It is on the star. The only issue that I see is that they maybe get a little overzealous and give themselves up on an angle, but it doesn't even look like that's happening. At it with a beautiful knock. And now here comes Gravity. I mean, these teams are on the edge. Again, it's just No Cap that's holding everyone else out.
See Gravity come out, actually challenge on here, but only getting 1 knock is actually pretty huge. And there you go, 1 more fall. So now in a 4v2 effectively for No Cap here. Can they clean up these kill points? Look like they're going to try and collapse onto this. They do actually allow the res off. Femme Fatale going to find 1 knock. Enlan falls, but Plume trades that back one. Femme Fatale finds the second one now.
Wait a second.
This could be coming apart for No Cap at the seams.
There's a chance. There's absolutely a chance.
Oh,
but it is snuffed out by Plume. And I have to say, we praised this team so much for this game, but that I don't think people realize how clean that was up until the very end.
No, I mean, maintaining that split, obviously after that horrendous shift back down to the south, as soon as they took gas station there, I said that it's a shame to not see them convert that into kill points. But ultimately, you know, playing that split for so long, it gave them complete control of that side. And again, you know, you've got to take into consideration there's going to be a lot of teams very damaged, you know, having taken casualties, fighting in the blue. So holding on to that for as long as they did, and they didn't really have another full team to pressure them. Everybody else was wrapping into the south side, trying to come in Yasnaya side. Really, really good setup from them. But it's the macro game in the late game that really impressed me there, Godspeed.
Yeah, 100%. The decision making, the way that they had again split out to try to, they said, "Why are you so ugly?" so early to that ridge on the road, which is very risky. But they had the confidence to do that, and then the decision making after that to have someone else go with him. Then they split the west again. It was seeing them play that round makes me question why we haven't seen them play like that for the rest of this event, to be completely honest.
No, it's not. And, you know, it's, again, I hate to say, and I find myself saying, but the games you're supposed to win, especially when your back's up against the wall, they've converted that opportunity perfectly.
Yeah, they absolutely did. But there's only 1 game left, and we are going to be bringing that to you guys just after we catch up with our analysts. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much. And it is a feather in the cap of You So Ugly and the boys as they come out with a nice big win off the gas station. Let's start off with how terrible that shift in phase 3 was, Matchroom.
Oh my God. Okay, you want to talk about that one, or do you want to talk about any of the follow-up shifts that came
Right?
into
I mean,
play? That was, it felt like, I don't know, PlayerUnknown himself was being the main villain of that circle.
he's
The
I do. I like to imagine him at home right now, just messing with us because he's having some fun. But Cammy, that was a violent shift that I don't think I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like that much of a game shaker. There was nobody in the spot where we
Yeah.
ultimately got to for like 7-8, etc.
Yeah, yeah, that was. So I'm assuming the players, or at least a number of them, like me, thought that this was, in my case, dreading that this game was going to be another East of Severity finish, and because of that, we already saw a little bit of a scramble for the warehouse and the buildings northeast of that, the two
Mhm.
most powerful in that circle. It was Ascendance and a Play for Fun. I believe that were the two mostly fighting around that. But as you mentioned, with that shift away, it threw everyone for a loop.
So let's take a look at a loop of the last game. It's time for highlights.
highlights.
My man.
I'm gonna
And
try to stick
then-
it with you.
I respect it. Oh, firefight.
Oh yeah, this
Oh, this is what we started
Sizzle.
with.
Oh, yeah, I know that hurts to watch at the start. Go ahead, Kim. You've got words. I'm just still in pain.
it's just got to be chaos here that you see. Even up into the late game, you could still see a number of teams really struggle on figuring out how in the world they're supposed to break into where the zone was, essentially off of the phase 3 shift. Like Clueless here, running it very, very late, out in the open, no smokes, no utility. They had to wrap all the way from the Nolene-ish area, or on the north ridge of that lake. But this is where you saw the control that NoCap had. Supremacy trying to come in with a 4-stack in the late game, very, very strong as well, but with the split that Hype on Godspeed had been mentioning, it was going to be difficult for Supremacy to really break through either way.
I mean, just good performance coming out from NoCap. They had control towards this in section. I love the split that came into play here. I got a little bit dicey there towards the middle, but they do manage to walk away with it. And let's be real. We were talking about, hey, if you're on the right side of the leaderboard, what do you want to see? We want to see some dominant team fighting coming into play. We want to see you come in here. We want to see the fact that you're not afraid to fight and that you can try to make everybody play off of your game plan. In this case, NoCap executes, and massive respect to you guys. That's exactly what we were looking for.
100%. And they started today, I think, at 15th place or something when they came in this time around, Cameron.
Yeah.
And there's an argument. I mean, the guy said, where have you been? Why haven't we seen this before? Maybe there's something to be said for the fact that when the wheels came off, they had to sort of put their brains in the backpack and just focus on fighting and making some, from where they were. And maybe that's what they thrive at.
I mean, maybe it was the team that came in from first place in the Challenger Cup. We haven't really touched upon that too much because even from the very beginning, NoCap weren't really in the conversation. The one high placement that they had yesterday, it was third place only with 2 kills. And so I think at the start of the day, myself included, a lot of us just sort of like put them in the back of our mind. They weren't really part of the conversation. They're now coming back into things. Is it too late to even make it into the top 8 where the prize money changes? It's going to rely on the final game. Gonna have to see.
Matt, it seems like you didn't necessarily agree with the brains in the backpack idea.
Well, I thought that they made a
about
lot of very intelligent moves there
That's
towards
fair.
the end section.
Okay.
Like they went back over towards the beachhead, over
That's
towards the
true.
western part of that safe zone, making sure the fact that they had nobody that was going to be trying to cross around the river area. They were also monitoring everything that was going on over towards the north. Gravity pretty much had everything in control back over the east. We won't talk about how many points Gravity's probably walked away with as well. But I really love the way that they just moved in and repositioned. And you could tell the fact that, I don't know, like if something changed in their communication or if it just clicked better, but whatever was going on, you could tell that this was a team that was doing a good job of explaining everything that was happening, even to team members that didn't have vision.
So they were showing a masterful control of a smaller area. Would you refer to that? So we often talk about the macro and the micro games, and some teams have great macro and bad micro, or vice versa. Would you call that small area control, like, because you're talking about like it's a macro decision making process, but it's sort of the late game smaller area fighting? Which way would you look at that, macro or micro?
Macro is more of an understanding of the entirety of the game and how it fits together and how you need to move through it, for lack of a better term. We talk about win conditions, those types of things. Those are more macro decisions, whatever you're looking at it. Micro decisions are more mechanic-driven plays or just playing inside of specifically like a team fight and that style of things. That's more of your micro decisions. The bigger section of the game is the macro itself. Going and rotating through different sections of the map, knowing where to move, understanding where other teams are probably going to be at, or how they're going to be approaching you, are all macro-based decisions.
Well, we've talked a lot about micros. Let's see what the scoreboard has cooked up for us. Who's on top? No cap.
Microwave.
Yes,
Is
that's
that
what
the-
was.
is that
It was a.
what
It was a.
you're
It was a stretch. It was a stretch. It was. I wouldn't say it was radiating necessarily, but it worked out. All right, 20 total points there. Supremacy 13. Gravity got 10. Cameron.
Yeah, keeping that lead up at this point. I think Clueless with that 4-point overall gain from this game are going to come with a massive one on the next round. Hot drop maybe? We'll see. But yeah, no. So this is actually one of the first times that we've seen a big drop of points from first place to the rest. Usually it's more of a steady stream, but with Cap's control at the end there, even just the moments leading up to the full end game, and really being able to capitalize on the chaos that so many other teams were forced into because of that phase 3 shift, come out with a good point grab.
Well, let's not forget about Supremacy either. Supremacy is walking away with a very good round in and of themselves. 13 points is going to be huge for them. So no cap, Supremacy both needing big games, get it inside of this one. Gravity gets 10 points just to make life just that much more miserable for Clueless. And let's not forget, we've got Clueless and Gravity also dueling up against who's going to walk away with the most kills, and this might be a big factor inside of that. Clueless having a little bit rougher of a game. And let's be fair, Clueless was trying their hardest, man.
Yes.
The moment that I saw Clueless on fire, running, trying to get to safety in a wizard tower, getting shot at range, that was just kind of the epitome of what was happening to Clueless inside that round.
All right, kills and damage. Nitrogen comes off with number 1. That's in large part, I believe, to the fight with Elusive, which we'll talk about a little bit later if we get some time for it. But Cameron, what else stands out to you on the KD?
It's Ploob dealing number 2nd in kills overall, but Adit's up there with damage, and Ploob's nowhere on the damage chart. I'm curious to look back and see how that sort of relationship works. However, looking at Ploob specifically, though, as similar to how I said that Retaliative for Kektabukios was sort of the carry player in the round of 16. Ploob was the player that I was most expecting to pop off because he was, I put soft carry, but still carry nonetheless for Cap's round of 16. And so it doesn't surprise me that he's going to be up there in kills for this round that they win.
Well, let's not forget about Femme Fatale either. Femme Fatale walking away 3rd place in kills, also 4th place in total damage coming up for here. We talked about the importance of making an individual statement just for yourself, intending maybe to get into another team or something like that. Femme Fatale has had a lot of very strong moments showing up at important times for Supremacy, as well as when 7-4 is over here. We haven't seen anything really coming out for inside of the top 5s for play for fun, so great to see them showing up on the leaderboard there.
Clueless started to close the gap a little bit before that last game, but Gravity again surges to 19 points ahead of them. Clueless on the hot pursuit, and KekW Kiers at 79. Though they are not safe, Elusive at 76. Remember, the top 4 places get the big money, the 1,500, then drops to 1,000 after that. So Elusive and KekW Kiers going to the last game, Cameron, are going to be very carefully looking behind them.
Yeah, it is very, very tight. Even though there is a small 5-point gap between 4th and 5th, Ascendance down to Liberate, down to Cozy Crew is very tight within themselves. So if we see any of those 3 teams pop off, they could put themselves, very likely put themselves into the top 4, especially if KekW and Elusive to have mediocre or worse games for themselves. You could also look at that the rarity, the tiny gap that they have in 8th place from Supremacy and even Prozone Snake and No Cap extended a little bit to Virtue and ELPX, but that's where it starts to get a little tight for 1 game left.
If Cozy has a good game and passes Elusive into that top 4, Elusive will have to look back at that last match and wonder if pushing them was the right choice in that sort of mid-game position. Pankill, 26 kills. Sharu has surpassed him in damage, Matchroom, and is closing the gap continuously.
But look at the rest of the damage chart, Toffees. I mean, come on. That's a statement in and of itself. Shout out to Gravity. I don't think we've ever seen all 4 players on one of these top 5 charts before. I mean, it's challengers and all, but man, Gravity, shout out to you guys. Pankill, you got to be a little bit nervous. Sure, you got a little bit of a lead back away from Shiru now, but he's still coming for you, man, and we still got 1 round left to go. So I got my eyes back over with Pankill and Shiru. See who's going to walk away with most kills.